It's Friday, January 12th, 2024. Let's talk about the news. From Reuters, deadly winter storm causes power outages and disrupts travel across U.S. A period of unseasonable heat across North America has ended with the arrival of a cascade of winter storms powered by a polar vortex that have already killed several people and blanketed the U.S. in all sorts of advisories, watches, and warnings related to tornadoes, destructive wind gusts, frigid temperatures, and high levels of rain and snow precipitation. Some version of this happens most years, but the flip from warm and balmy to shatteringly cold and icy is not usually this sudden, and the scope and destructiveness of these weather systems seems to be getting worse by the year. Folks in the impacted areas are being warned about travel delays and cancellations, power outages, and overall dangerous conditions for the next week or so. From the Wall Street Journal, SEC approves Bitcoin ETFs for everyday investors. The SEC has announced a decision that clears the way for Bitcoin-based ETFs to be traded by the public. An exchange-traded fund, or ETF, is an asset that can be traded like stocks, but rather than representing investments in companies, they represent investments in a portfolio of assets, like gold, stocks, or bonds. This ruling will allow for the creation and sale of ETFs that contain Bitcoins, which would essentially allow investors to buy into this category of asset without having to work with crypto platforms of at times dubious legality or take on the risk of owning notoriously volatile Bitcoins directly. And from the Washington Post, South Africa presents genocide case against Israel at UN's top court. A representative from South Africa presented arguments to the International Court of Justice yesterday, accusing Israel of committing genocide against Palestinians in Gaza. Israel denies the allegations, and its allies, like the US, have backed those denials. But the South African government seems to be presenting this case in part to force a pause in the fighting. That effort backed by several other governments, though it could also lead to a formal demand by the International Court of Justice that Israel stop its invasion and bombardment of the region, which would then give those who oppose Israel's actions in Gaza more leverage for future efforts to end the conflict. If you're finding some value in One Sentence News, consider leaving a quick review wherever you get your podcasts and/or sharing the show with a friend. You can find out more about this show or subscribe to the email version at onesentencenews.com. And you can support this and other related projects, like the Let's Know Things and Brain Lenses podcasts, at understandery.com.